In the underground parking garage, the Oscar-winning actress was scolding a social media starlet until she burst into tears. I was crouching behind a car, enjoying the drama, as if I had a front row seat at the movies. I really intended to sneak away before anyone noticed me. The woman said with icy indifference, "Have you enjoyed the show? My time costs $100,000 a second." Wow, you certainly have a high price tag. As a D-list actor who barely gets any work, I found myself hiding behind a car in this dimly lit parking structure. The actress's commanding voice echoed through the concrete space without a hint of mercy. She spoke incredibly fast, her sharp words cutting through the silence of the garage with perfect clarity. "What exactly do I pay you 6 figures a month for if you're going to book me for a pathetic industry mixer like this? Did you see those thirsty guys staring at me like a pack of wolves?" It was like they had never seen a woman before. I sat through that ridiculous theme for 30 minutes without understanding the point. They were trying so hard to be mysterious and avant-garde. Do I look like the kind of person who needs to beg for roles at a cocktail party? Well, you might not be, but I definitely am. Her assistant wiped his forehead with his sleeve and stammered a reply. Mike said a major director was supposed to be there tonight. "Are you working for me or for my manager?" Olivia snapped. The poor assistant remained silent. "Don't just stand there, get the car." Hearing that, I suddenly realized my own assistant still hadn't arrived to pick me up. My manager, Sarah Thompson, acts as my agent, driver, and babysitter all at once, and more importantly, she is the one who controls my paycheck. I could afford to wait a little longer. I definitely could not afford to be broke. Shortly after, Chloe Bennett, a starlet constantly surrounded by rumors, sashayed over to the famous actress. She was wearing a plunging, skin-tight red dress and 4-inch stilettos. She thinned her voice to sound like a breathy teenager and said, "Olivia, what a coincidence to see you here." Olivia Harrison stood tall with an athletic grace, her stunning features possessing a touch of cool arrogance that couldn't hide her natural elegance. Olivia stood there with her arms crossed and spoke with blunt honesty. "We were just in the same room, and the way you looked at me made my skin crawl. It seems like the industry lets just about anyone in these days. Tell me which agency you are with, so I can have my lawyer send over cease and desist." Chloe turned pale and visibly stiffened. "Olivia, I am a lead in that new streaming series. My name is Chloe Bennett." The actress looked thoughtful for a moment, clearly unable to recall ever hearing of such a show. "I do not watch low-budget streaming shows. I suppose that explains why they hired someone like you." After saying that, Olivia Harrison looked her up and down, ending with a judgmental clicking of her tongue. Chloe seemed to make a desperate decision as she suddenly wobbled and stumbled right into Olivia's arms. Her cheap neckline practically tore open on impact, and I had to judge her for wearing such a poorly made dress. Olivia didn't budge an inch, her voice sounding like absolute ice. "You should carefully consider the legal consequences of harassing a public figure. I do not care if the tabloids say I was a victim, but I promise you will not survive the fallout." I could already see the headline about a rising starlet harassing an Oscar winner. It was so intense. She suddenly grabbed Olivia's hand with a look of deep longing in her eyes. "Olivia, you have it all wrong. I love you." Good grief, so that was her angle. "Olivia, I have been in love with you for so long, but I never had the chance to tell you in person. I am your biggest fan, and I have watched every single one of your movies at least a dozen times. I follow your every move day and night, and I know everything about you. Olivia, I truly and deeply love you." Olivia stared back at her and let out a cold laugh. "It sounds like I need to call the police because stalking and harassment charges should keep you busy enough to stop following me. I have no idea how any director cast you as a lead, because your performance right now is incredibly fake. Your wide eyes are completely soulless, and you think loving someone is just about pouting your lips." The fake smile vanished from Chloe's face. Olivia delivered her final verdict. "Are you trying to use me for social media clout, or are you just looking for a role?" The famous actress let out a mocking snort. People really need to learn their place and realize what they are actually worth. As an actor, you should spend less time worrying about viral fame and more time actually learning how to act. Regardless, you should probably go talk to your agency about the lawsuit coming your way. I had heard stories about Olivia Harrison having a wicked tongue, and seeing it in person proved the rumors were true. Chloe mumbled apologies through her tears and hurried away. I never expected to get a front row seat to a performance by the great Olivia Harrison for free. A second later, her cold voice rang out again. Have you seen enough of the show? My time costs $100,000 a second. She really was expensive. The air became deathly still. A pair of designer silver heels appeared in my line of sight, and as I looked up those long legs, I saw her stunningly beautiful face staring down at me without any expression. Once she saw my face, her harsh tones softened just a fraction, and she gave me a faint smirk. Well, do you want me to help you up? I stammered out a reply. If it is not too much trouble, I could use a hand. I have been crouching here so long my legs have gone completely numb. Olivia let out a short laugh and reached down to pull me up. She was much stronger than she looked, and it was not that I was clumsy, but her pull was so sudden that it set me off balance. Consequently, my feet tripped over each other and I slammed right into her. My first thought was that I was definitely getting a lawsuit now. My second thought was that she smelled incredible. I am so sorry, my legs just stopped working. I will punish them myself, so please do not be mad at me. I immediately stomped my own feet on the concrete floor to prove my point. Olivia's gaze was sharp, yet she looked at me with an amused glint in her eyes. Exactly how much did you hear? I heard absolutely nothing and saw even less. You can just pretend I do not even exist. I was not about to risk my career. I knew when to play dumb. She calmly straightened her silk sleeves, her beautiful eyes narrowing slightly to reveal the tiny beauty mark just beneath them. Are you marking your territory? Olivia pointed to a bright red smudge on her designer top and smirked. It was from my long-lasting lipstick, and it definitely lived up to its reputation for staying power. My hands were shaking as I pulled out some makeup remover and cotton pads. Are you having a tremor? She asked. If you're quite finished staring at me, you might want to start cleaning this up. Apparently, she thought I was a medical disaster. I had to endure it for the sake of my bills. I started carefully wiping the lipstick stain off the fabric near her collarbone. As I scrubbed at the fabric, I could feel the warmth of her skin beneath, and the whole situation felt far more intimate than it should have. I remembered reading thirsty fan comments about her online, and my face suddenly flushed deep red. I caught a glimpse of her breathing heavily, her presence feeling overwhelming. Your acting was actually better than hers, she said suddenly. The comment made me jump. I immediately started shaking my head and waving my hands in denial. I was not acting. I'm truly sorry. My name is Lucas Miller, and I've spent the last 3 years playing background characters in streaming shows. I'm just a struggling actor who is not looking for fame or followers. I just want to survive and make enough to pay my rent. I grew up with almost nothing, and I have an elderly grandmother to support, not to mention a few rescues that depend on me for food. My whole world relies on my meager income, so please do not ruin me. Olivia looked at me with a skeptical expression and gave a dry critique. If you could manage a few tears, I would give that performance an A+. Are you actually an actor? Wonderful. After 3 years in the industry, I was still a complete nobody to her. Just as I was about to respond, a sleek Ferrari pulled up right next to us. Olivia's assistant hopped out to open the door, politely gesturing for her to get inside. Olivia, let's get you home. A moment later, Sarah Thompson pulled up in her beat-up sedan and rolled down the window, shouting at me. Lucas, get in the car already. Olivia gave me a long, unreadable look before sliding in her car and driving off without another word. The next morning, before the sun was even up, Sarah was blowing up my phone with a dozen missed calls. Lucas, you are trending. Check Twitter right now. I bolted upright in bed and grabbed my phone, only to be overwhelmed by a flood of notifications. The hashtags were everywhere, from Olivia's dating life to people trying to figure out who I was. I could not even process the sheer volume of mentions before my phone screen completely froze. The screen was stuck on a trending topic about Olivia Harrison's new boyfriend. The post claimed that the famous actress and her secret lover were caught in a very intimate moment in a parking garage. Fans were dissecting every frame of the paparazzi photos, claiming that the way she held my waist and looked at me was proof of a secret romance. The captions were wild, suggesting that I was gazing up at her longingly while she was pulling me in for a kiss before we went home together. There was a full grid of photos showing me at her feet, her pulling me up, me falling in her arms, and then me leaning in close to her chest to wipe the stain. The top comment was hysterical, with someone saying they had never seen a celebrity couple with this much chemistry and demanding to see more of our private business. Another user told everyone to watch a specific clip, claiming that Olivia's intense gaze meant she was absolutely obsessed with me. I watched the grainy 10-second video myself. The reality was just me having numb legs and Olivia helping me up, which resulted in an accidental lipstick stain that I had to clean. However, creative fans had added a romantic soundtrack and edited the footage with soft filters and suggestive captions to make us look like the perfect couple. It was so well edited that I almost started questioning my own memory of the night. As soon as my phone started working again, Sarah told me I needed to be at the office 10 minutes ago. When I walked into the agency, my coworkers were all whispering and giving me dirty looks. They were gossiping about how I had managed to hide my relationship with a superstar so well. Now that he is dating an A-lister, he probably thinks he is too good for us, one said. Another muttered about how they never realized I was such a player. There were also a few younger assistants who were clearly fans of the pairing. Sarah didn't even give me a chance to speak before she dragged me into a private conference room. I was shocked to see her CEO there, a man I had not seen in person for over 2 years. He looked at me as if I were a winning lottery ticket and gave me a massive grin. "Lucas, come on in and sit down," he said warmly. I sat down nervously between him and Sarah, feeling like I was about to be interrogated. "You have done an amazing job, Lucas. Olivia Harrison is the biggest name in the business right now. If you stay close to her, you'll have more roles than you can handle. Mr. Richardson, actually, it is a..." I didn't even get to say the word misunderstanding before he started rambling about marketing strategies and my future career path. "What do you think, Lucas?" he asked. Thinking about Olivia's biting wit, I was terrified she would chew me up and spit me out. "Mr. Richardson, I do not think this is a good idea. Everyone knows that Olivia Harrison is ruthless. She made a seasoned reporter cry on national television last month. I'm not sure I can handle that kind of pressure. Besides, I have a reputation to maintain, and Olivia seems like the type who would break my heart without a second thought." I felt tears welling up in my eyes as I tried to explain my fears. Suddenly, I heard a distinct laugh in the doorway behind me. Olivia Harrison was leaning against the door with a relaxed posture, her eyes sparkling with amusement as she watched me. "Lucas, are you really questioning my character? I thought you knew exactly what kind of person I was after our little encounter." Everyone in the room went silent and stared at us. My attempt to defend myself had completely backfired, and I felt my entire face burning with embarrassment. "Thanks a lot. I really appreciate that," I muttered sarcastically. She really did have a sharp tongue. Olivia Harrison was going to be the death of me. The superstar had arrived with her entire entourage, including her legal counsel. Luckily, they weren't there to sue me. Olivia sat there like royalty, her legs crossed as she listened to her team's reports while keeping her eyes fixed on me with a smirk. She kept fiddling with the items on the table, clearly trying to get my attention. She was wearing a stunning white blazer with a deep neckline, and it was obvious she wasn't wearing anything underneath. A delicate silver bracelet hung from her wrist, and I couldn't stop myself from noticing her elegant hands and the hint of her athletic figure. She was being incredibly provocative. Suddenly, I felt her leg brush against mine under the conference table. I looked up from her white designer heels to find her looking completely composed, taking notes as if nothing was happening. "Lucas, do you have any thoughts on the matter?" she asked innocently. Surrounded by all these powerful people, I felt completely out of my league. My history with Olivia went way back, and it wasn't just about our current gap in fame. Back in high school, I had broken her heart and left her hanging. Life is strange, and now I was basically working for her. I tried to pull my leg away, but she just trapped my other leg with hers. She was conducting a business meeting above the table while flirting with me underneath it. It was amazing how much she had changed over the years. We weren't even dating, so I had no idea what she was playing at. I gave her a sharp look and cleared my throat to try and get her to stop. She ignored my warning and smiled, sliding a small wooden sheep figurine toward me. I picked it up and saw my old childhood nickname carved into the side. Lucky. My face went beet red immediately. She knew exactly what that nickname meant to me. I tried to kick her under the table to get her to stop, but she was ready for it, catching my ankle and pinning both of my legs between hers. She just raised an eyebrow at me with a look that said I couldn't do a thing about it. This was getting ridiculous, and I was reaching my breaking point. I am sure Olivia wouldn't want a struggling actor like me ruining her perfect reputation, I said, trying to subtly squeeze her hand to get her to let go. Olivia didn't flinch and just smiled. I might be open to the idea, provided the compensation is right. Her tone was suggestive, and her behavior was totally inappropriate for a professional setting. The meeting was quickly turning into a flirtation that I couldn't handle. When she started rubbing her knee against mine, I accidentally bolted upright in my chair. Everyone in the room stopped and stared at me. Is something wrong, Lucas? Sarah asked. No, sorry, I just thought I felt a bug on my leg. It was a pathetic excuse. We ended the meeting without actually deciding anything. After all that talk, we were right back where we started. Since Olivia owned her own production company and basically controlled my agency, she had the final say. Her decision was simply to let things happen naturally. I was completely frustrated by the lack of a plan. After she left the room, I reached over and grabbed the piece of paper she had been doodling on during the meeting. There was a drawing of a little sheep in the center, surrounded by my nickname written over and over again. She certainly knew how to mess with my head. Suddenly, everyone in Hollywood knew who I was. With Black Friday approaching, brands were lining up to have me host their promotional live streams. The comments section was flooded with people calling me by my name and asking about Olivia. They wanted to see the famous actress make an appearance on my show. Fans were making up couple names for us and posting them all over the chat. They were obsessed with the idea of us being together. Olivia's fans called her Liv, but they started calling me Luke as if we were best friends. The host eventually stepped in to get the show back on track. We were playing a silly digital game to win prizes for the viewers. It was not that I was bad at it, but the game was rigged. While I only scored 2 points, the host had to make a joke to keep things from getting awkward. Well, at least you caught them in a pair, the host joked. We moved on to the next segment, where I had to complete challenges to move a digital character across the screen. My next challenge was incredibly difficult. I had to call a famous celebrity and try to sell them a product. Of course, the product was a high-end mattress. They might as well have just told me to call Olivia Harrison directly. As I pretended to think of who to call, the host pointed out that the viewers were already making suggestions in the chat. The comments were moving so fast, I could barely read them. Everyone was shouting Olivia's name, reminding me that she was the most famous person I knew. I realized the host had probably already arranged everything. He handed me the phone with Olivia's number already dialing. I had no choice but to pick it up. Hello, she answered. It is me, Lucas Miller, I said. Lucky, she replied, her voice sounding incredibly smooth and intimate over the line. The chat went absolutely wild at her use of my nickname. I tried to play it off with a laugh. Olivia, you have a very funny sense of humor. I was willing to play along if it meant keeping my job. You are just as cute as you always were, she added. I gave another awkward laugh and tried to get back to the sales pitch. Olivia, are you happy with your current mattress? I have a new brand I think you would love. She replied, why don't you come over and test it out for yourself? The fans were having a field day with her suggestive comment. They were already writing fan fiction about us, spending the night together. Some people were confused because they expected her to be rude, while others were convinced we were already married and shopping for furniture. I quickly pivoted back to the script and started describing the mattress. Olivia, being a pro, immediately caught on and started helping me sell it to the audience. My sales numbers started skyrocketing. Then, I saw a private message pop up on my phone. Lucky, you should really come over and try out the new bed tonight. I highly doubted the delivery service was that efficient. After the stream ended, Sarah was suddenly acting incredibly nice to me, even bringing me a coffee. I started wondering if the company was going under or if I was about to get fired. I took a deep breath and told her to just give it to me straight. Lucas, I knew you would understand. It is a good thing your first big gig was such a success, because it will keep you afloat for a long time. Lucas, you just got cast in a major reality dating show, so make sure you make the most of it. I couldn't believe it. I was finally going to be on a hit television series. I tried to keep my cool while asking who my partner would be. Sarah looked at me and said one name, Olivia Harrison. I take it back. Olivia Harrison might be a talented actress and a successful business mogul with a perfect physique, but she was also incredibly difficult to deal with. There was a common saying in the industry that Olivia Harrison's words could cut deeper than a knife. A new reporter had once tried to grill her about her high school sweetheart, which became a massive scandal. Olivia had shut him down with 3 sentences that everyone still talked about. Why are we even talking about high school flings? Why don't you ask me what I had for breakfast instead? If I have to explain everything myself, then your job as a journalist is completely useless. The media outlets were so intimidated that they pulled all their stories about her past, and that reporter was never heard from again. Olivia's past remained one of Hollywood's biggest mysteries. The lesson was clear: you do not mess with her. I decided to look at the situation practically. As the saying goes, hard work pays off in the end. I agreed to do the show for one simple reason: the massive paycheck. There were 3 couples on the show, Olivia and myself, a pair of rising stars who were rumored to be dating, and Chloe Bennett along with her co-star from that streaming show. On the first day of filming, Chloe showed up in a fancy white dress with perfect makeup. The fans in the chat were all complimenting her look. Olivia Harrison made her entrance last, and everyone rushed over to greet her. She gave them all a very professional and polite response. But then she saw me sitting there eating a slice of watermelon. She gave me a genuine smile and walked straight over to me, causing me to jump to my feet. She gently pushed me back down into my seat and took the watermelon rind from my hand. Then, she pulled out a handkerchief and began to wipe my face right in front of all the cameras. Lucas, is that watermelon as sweet as it looks? She asked. Do you want a bite? I asked without thinking. I had forgotten that I just finished the last piece. Olivia just gave me a knowing look and kept her eyes fixed on my lips. The fans were losing their minds in the comments. They were suggesting all sorts of scandalous ways for her to get a taste of that watermelon. Everyone noticed how differently she treated me compared to the others. They were calling out her obvious soft spot for me. We had to pick a location for our first date, and both of us initially chose the pier. I quickly changed my mind and said I wanted to go to the beach instead. Olivia just smirked at me. I didn't realize you were in such a rush to get to the romantic sunset dinner, Lucas. I had no idea who decided that the beach meant a romantic dinner. Regardless, we ended up going to the Santa Monica Pier anyway. I chose to wear a bright green shirt, thinking there was no way she would be wearing the same color. She wasn't wearing green, but her tan jacket complemented my outfit perfectly. For some reason, we looked like we had planned our clothes together. Olivia was walking with a relaxed air, but I could have sworn she started walking a little faster the moment she spotted me in the crowd. She suddenly held out a heart-shaped lollipop toward me. A little girl told me these were the sweetest things in the world, so I wanted to see if she was right or if you were sweeter. My heart skipped a beat at her words. She certainly knew how to be charming when she wanted to be. The fans were already making jokes about her imaginary little girl. They knew exactly what she was doing. Others were complaining about how romantic it was, saying they were jealous of our chemistry. I tried to act cool and stick to the plan. Olivia, I know you probably hate haunted houses, so naturally, that is exactly where I want to go. Lucas, it is like you were reading my mind. I was just thinking the same thing. I had failed to annoy her, but I was determined to prove to everyone that the great Olivia Harrison was afraid of the dark. It was supposed to be a short walk, but it took us over an hour because we kept getting distracted. Olivia was strolling along as if she didn't have a care in the world, and I found myself struggling to keep up with her pace. It just so happened that the pier was decorated for a romantic event, with love songs playing everywhere and everything painted in shades of pink. Suddenly, a tandem bike came rushing toward us, and I instinctively grabbed onto Olivia's jacket to steady myself. Before I knew it, She had stepped in front of me to block the bike, her hand firmly gripping me. The guy on the bike hopped off and apologized profusely. "I'm so sorry, my brakes failed. I almost ran right into your girlfriend." Olivia didn't accept the apology. If sorry fixed everything, we wouldn't need the police. "You really need to pay better attention to where you were going, buddy." The young couple looked terrified, so I stepped in to calm things down. Olivia eventually relented and told them to just be more careful next time. By the time we reached the haunted house, I was juggling a lollipop and some cotton candy, trying to figure out how to eat both at the same time. Olivia clearly had a major sweet tooth because she had insisted on stopping for cotton candy shake. She saw me struggling and gave me a playful grin. "If you can't finish all that, I would be happy to take some off your hands." To my surprise, she ended up eating most of it herself. She even took a bite of my lollipop, and for a second, our fingers touched in a way that felt very deliberate. The actors in the haunted house were incredibly convincing, and even I found myself jumping at the scares. When a monster jumped out at us, Olivia grabbed onto me and practically tried to hide behind me. "That was terrifying. You have to protect me, Lucas," she whispered, leaning her head against my shoulder as if she were actually scared. When I saw her the next morning, my heart nearly stopped. Olivia was wearing a simple white shirt and had such a radiant smile as she walked toward me. The very first time I met Olivia Harrison, I had actually lied to her. It was the summer after middle school, and I was selling handmade trinkets. "Lucky, it turns out you're going to the same high school in New York as me," she had said that day. I tried to apologize for lying to her before, but she just thanked me for helping her find a way. I was working late shifts at a convenience store, which often made me late for class. Since I couldn't afford any fines, I used to sneak over the school fence. "Just jump, I will catch you," she had said. When I opened my eyes, she was in her uniform, looking like my own personal hero. I eventually quit the store because Olivia hired me to tutor her younger brother. I tried to give her a discount, but she wouldn't hear of it. Before graduation, she asked me where I was planning to go for college. I told her I was aiming for Yale, and she said she was planning on going there too. I missed the exams that year due to a family emergency, and by the time I got into Yale a year later, Olivia had completely vanished. When I finally saw her again, I was a struggling actor, and she was the most famous woman in Hollywood. After we finished filming our new project together, Olivia posted a photo of us on Twitter with a caption about finally getting the high school romance she always wanted. "Lucky, I have a new role for you, if you are interested," she said to me. "What is the pay? Who's my co-star?" I asked. "It is a lifetime contract, and I am the only co-star you have ever met. You actually remember me after all these years? You were the very first person who ever had the nerve to lie to me. Wait, so you knew the truth the whole time? Nobody in their right mind would have believed that rare deep-sea jewels are sold at cheap street. It was pretty obvious you just found those rocks in a nearby cave. But I have to admit that I lied to you. I sent my uncle several bottles of top shelf just to convince him to organize that party, so you would be invited. So you basically rounded up every struggling actor in the city just to create an excuse to see me. It is the greatest honor of my life to have you by my side for the rest of our journey. This story is not about fame or Hollywood gossip. It is about two people who met as teenagers, told each other small lies, and spent years drifting apart only to find their way back. Lucas was a struggling nobody. Olivia was a superstar. On paper, they had nothing in common. But underneath all the glitz, they were just two people who remembered each other. A boy selling fake jewels at a street corner, and a girl who jumped a fence. The lesson is simple. Timing is not always kind, but hearts do not forget. The person who saw you when you had nothing will always see you. The best love stories are not written by screenwriters. They start with a lie, survive years of silence, and end with two people choosing each other, not for what they can give, but for who they already are. That is the only script worth following.